uh, based on data link layer. So this data link layer, it lies between the network layer and the physical layer in the internet model. Now it receives the services from the physical layer and provides services to the network layer. Okay, now the data link layer, that is responsible for carrying suppose a packet from one computer, which is called obviously a hop, H-O-P, hop. So one hop to the next hop. Now this data link layer, it has a local responsibility, like there will be two hops, and the LAN and WAN connection that must be connected to that particular hop. Now the journey through this LAN or WAN, LAN means local area network, wide area network. Okay, so between two hops, that must preserve the integrity of the packet, so that the data link layer must make sure that the packet arrives safely. Okay, now if the packet that is corrupted during the transmission, so it must either be corrected, or that must be retransmitted. So it actually controls the flow of data. Now, what are the different, so it has different duties like packetizing, uh, addressing, error control, flow control, and access control. So we will discuss about this later on next day. So right now, step by step, I will discuss about this data link layer, error control and detection. So basically, error detection and correction, why it is so important? Because data can be corrupted during any transmission, maybe. Okay, maybe it is safely reached to that receiver, or maybe some noise or some beat which are corrupted during the transmission because of interference. Okay, now for a reliable communication between two hops, so error must be detected and must be corrected. So there are two types of error primarily. One is the single bit error, means suppose there is 8 bit of data. Now one particular bit may be corrupted, or if more than one bit is corrupted, then it is called a burst error. Okay, so single bit error means one bit is corrupted, and burst error means more than one bit is corrupted. Okay, so because of this interference, the shape of the signal that may be changed. Like in this single bit error, what happened? A 0 that is changed to a 1, or one high level signal that can be changed to 0. Okay, so it's single bit error. So only one bit in the data unit has changed, like this one. So it is at the data bits which is sent by the sender, and when it is received by a receiver, then this 0, suppose this bit, this 0 1 2 3, this number 3 bit is changed to 1. So that means single bit is corrupted. Okay, so this is basically the single bit errors are the least likely type of error which is occurred in basically serial data transmission. Now in case of so a single bit, basically this error that can happen if we are sending data using the parallel transmission technique, like if 8 wires are used to send all 8 bits of suppose 1 byte of data is there at the same time. Now, and one of the air is noisy, so 1 bit can be corrupted in each byte. Just like, for example, between a CPU and the memory, which is the parallel transmission. Okay, there may be the data byte may be corrupted in this case. In case of burst error, so that means two or more bits in the data unit that has changed from 1 to 0 or from 0 to 1. Okay, so here in this case, this 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0, so this bit, this was sent by the sender and which is received as this bit. Now the length, so actually here 0 is changed to 1, 2 zeros, and this 0 is also changed to 1. So that means a burst error occurs. Now burst error does not necessarily mean that the errors occur in the consecutive bit. No, it may be here, or maybe here, anywhere. So the length of the burst is that is measured from the first corrupted bit to the last corrupted bit, and some bits in between may not have been corrupted like this. So that is the length of the burst error, 5 bits. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. So that is the first corrupted bit and that is the last corrupted bit. Clear? So that is the length of burst error. Now it is most likely to occur in a serial transmission. Okay, and the duration of the noise is normally longer than the duration of 1 bit, which means that when a noise effect, it affects the data, it affects a set of bits actually. So the number of bits which are affected depends on the data rate as well as the duration of the noise. Okay. Next, the detection of error. So error detection here. We first, so if any error is there, so first we need to detect the error, then it is modified or correct that error. So error detection is very simple than the error correction, and that is the first step in the error correction process. Okay, so first one is called the redundancy method. So one error detection mechanism that would be to send every data unit twice. Now the receiving device would then be able to do a bit by bit comparison between the two versions of the data, which is sent by the sender and which is received by the receiver. Now any discrepancy, if it is indicated, then that means there must be an error and an appropriate correction mechanism is to be implemented. So this system would be completely accurate, but it would also be slow process. Okay, so redundancy actually, which means adding extra bits for detecting the errors at the destination. Like in this figure, you can see that this data byte is sent by the sender, then data and so these redundancy bits are added to these data bits. So full data as well as redundancy, this full bit will be sent. This is one message. So this message will be sent by a medium. Okay, and when it is passes through this medium, so here one analyzer is there, so it so that analyzer analyzes the data and appropriate action or necessary action can be performed. Now when it is received, now the data unit now enlarged by several bits like this one, and when it receives by the receives by the receiver, so receiver puts the entire stream through a checking function. Now, if the receive bit stream passes the checking criteria, then the data portion of the data unit that is accepted. Otherwise, it is rejected. And as well as when it is accepted, it discarded the redundancy bits. Okay, only redundancy bits will be discarded, and the actual data, the actual message is received by the receiver. Now, the detection method, actually, there are three types of redundancy checks which are common in data communication purpose. One is the parity check, another is the cyclic redundancy check or CRC, another is the checksum. So in case of parity check, that is the most common and least expensive mechanism for error detection. Okay, and basically this parity, so in parity check, what happened, a parity bit is added to every data unit, so that the total number of ones, either this will be even for even parity, or if you need to check odd parity, then the total number of ones must be odd. Now there are two types of parity checking. One is the simple parity check, another is the two-dimensional parity check. Now in case of simple parity check, here according to this diagram, what happened, a redundant bit, which is basically called a parity bit. So it is added to every data unit. Suppose this is your data and this is your parity bit is to be added. So the total number of ones in the unit, including the parity bit, becomes even for even parity and odd for odd parity. Suppose we want to transmit the binary data unit 11000001 like this. Now adding the number of ones gives us 3, which is basically an odd number. Now before transmitting this one, what we need to do, we pass the data unit through a parity generator circuit, and the parity generator counts the ones and appends a parity bit like 1 in this case to the end of this bit. So now the total number of ones is 4, which is obviously an even number. Now the system transmits the entire expanded unit across the network link, and when it reaches to the destination, the receiver puts all 8 bits through an even parity checking function, and if the receiver says that 11000011, it counts 4 ones, it is an even number and the data unit passes. Otherwise, if it counts suppose 11111, 5 ones are there, that means it is not past the even parity condition, so it must be rejected. Okay, so when it receives, it drops the parity bit and accepts only the data portion. It discarded the parity bit and accepts the actual data part. Okay, so some system may be used by the odd parity checking generator, where the number of ones should be odd. The principle is same. So it checks whether there are odd numbers of ones or not. If it passes the odd number condition, then it is accepted, otherwise it is rejected. Okay, so here is an example, like suppose the sender wants to send the word WORLD. So in ASCII code, the 5 characters are coded like this. W is coded by 1110111, O is 1101111, R is this one, L is this one, and D is this one. Now each of the first 4 characters as an even number of ones. 3 plus 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4. This is 3. So the last character, which is D, in this case, it has 3 ones, which is obviously an odd number. So the parity bit is a 1 to make it. The total number of 1 is even. So 1 must be added over there. Okay, and this actual bits sent by the sender. Okay, and if there are even number of ones, so the parity bit will be 0, must be added to this data. And if there is an odd number of ones, that must be so 1 must be added to this one to make it an even number of ones. So these are the parity bits which are underlined here, 0, 0, 0, because there are already even number of ones. So no another 1 will be added, 0 will be added over here. Okay, so in each case 0 must be added, but where the even odd number of ones are present, there must be 1 that will be appended here. Clear? So it is sent by the sender. Now when a receiver receives this data byte, again it checks the number of even number of ones in each data byte. Now here the count value is 6, it is okay, so there is no error. Again this one is 6, the number of ones is 6, there is no error. So this is also 4, no error. This is also 4, no error. This is also 4, no error. But what happened if any one bit in this data series is changed? Suppose this 0 is changed to this one. Then when it receives by the receiver, it counts the value, it counts the number of ones. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here is 7. This one is 6. Again, this bit is changed to 1, so that the count value of 1 is 5. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 4. So these two data bytes are not satisfied the even parity rules. So that means the data is corrupted. Data is corrupted. So again, it informs the sender to send it again. Okay, so simple parity bit, actually it can detect all single bit errors. It can detect burst errors only if the total number of errors in each data unit is odd. Next is the two-dimensional parity check. So that is the better approach, and compared to this single parity check. And in this method, a block of bits is organized in a table, rows and column format. So first, what we need to do, first we calculate the parity bit for each data unit. Then we organize them into a table like this. So assume these are my original data bytes. So we have 4 data units. So 4 rows and 8 columns are there. So it is divided into 4 rows and 8 columns. This entire data bytes is divided into 4 rows and 8 columns. We then calculate the parity bit for each column. Like here is 1, 2. The count value for 1 is 2, that is even. So no 1 is to be added over here. So that is 0. Now the next parity bit checking, 1, 2, 3. So make it 4. That's why 1 is to be given over here. Then 1 1, count value is even, so no another 1 is to be needed. So in this way the column parities are there. Now so first parity bit in the fifth row, that is calculated based on all first bits, then second one, then this way, in this way the continue, so column parities can be calculated. And in the same way for rows purpose, 1 2 3 4 5, so you have to make it even, that's why one parity bit is to be added over here. Next, count this number row, the second row, 1 2 3 4 5, make it 6, so that's why 1 is here. Already 4 ones are there, so no extra 1 is to be needed. Again it has 3, then 1 is there, and again here 1 2 3 is there, so 1 is there. So these are row parities. Clear? So when it is calculated the row wise, the actual data that must be sent by the sender is 11001111. First data. Second data is 10111011. Third data is 01110010. Fourth number data is 01010011. And fifth number is the column parities which will be added over here like this, 01010101. The full parity bit, column parity bit will be added to this entire data units, and it is sent by the sender. Here again, when it is received by the receiver, in the same way it needs to be checked by the receiver whether these are even parity, it satisfies the even parity or not. So for even parity, these must be pass the even parity rules, even number of ones must be there, otherwise it is rejected, the data must be rejected. Okay, so that is the two-dimensional parity check. Now coming to this cyclic redundancy check, so that is the most powerful redundancy checking technique. So unlike the parity check, which is based on the addition, now this CRC, cyclic redundancy check, that is based on the binary division. Okay, now in this method, instead of adding bits to achieve a desired parity, what you need to do, a sequence of redundant bits called the cyclic redundancy reminder, that must be generated, and that is appended to the end of the each data bit, the data unit, so that the resulting data unit becomes exactly divisible by a second predefined or predefined binary number. So at its destination, now the incoming data unit, that must be divided by the same number, and if at this step there is no reminder, the data unit is assumed to be the same, there is no error. But if a reminder indicates that the data unit has been damaged in transit, and therefore it must be rejected. If the reminder is not 0, that means there must be some error. Okay, so here the redundancy bits that is used by this technique, basically these are derived by the dividing the data unit by a predetermined divisor. So this so after dividing it, whatever your reminder, that is the cyclic redundancy check. Okay, like so there must be cyclic redundancy check generator and cyclic redundancy checker. So generator means it is combined with the sender like this, So it is implemented over here. And cyclic redundancy checker, that is implemented at the receiver side. So generator, it is implemented at the sender side, and checker, that is implemented at the receiver side. Now, how it is to be performed, how it detects the error? Suppose there is a data byte 10010, okay, which is dividend, and divisor is 1101. Now, basically, you need to perform the modulo 2 division as well as the XOR operation. So first you need to start it with the 1. Whenever you get 1, this value, so you must perform that operation. So when it is divided by this one, so 1, that will be 1101. Now perform the XOR operation. So 110 000 011, and the remainder is over here. It must be carry over there again. So first this one is your 1, it starts from this position. So again this one is to be performed in the same way. So 1101 is to be written over here. Perform the XOR operation or modulo 2 addition. 1 plus 0 1, 0 0 0, 0 and 1 1, and 1 1 0. Okay, so if 1 1 0, so you don't need to consider the first bit. You always have to check where is your first 1 bit. Bit is indicated 1, where is it? So you have to start it from that position and discard this. So 101 is there, you have to write down 0 over here, and again perform the same operation. So 1101, perform the XOR operation. 011, 1 plus 0 1, 0 1 1, and 1 1 0. So again this first 0 is discarded. Take find out the first one. So first one is over here, so you have to consider this value 111. So make it 4-bit value because your divisor is 4-bit. So take this value inside this one 0. Again perform the same operation. 1101, write down. Perform the XOR operation. 011, because this one is 0, discard this 0. So 011, this 0 must be write it down over here, and after that this one is 0, this one is 0. Discard both of them and find out where is your starting point. So first one is over here, so you have to consider this one 1 1 0. Again this 0 must be there. Now 1100 is your reminder. Again perform the operation 1101 and perform the XOR operation between this 1 and 1 0, 1 and 1 0, 0 and 0 0, 0 and 1 1. So there is no other data byte, so your last remainder is 001. Now I have forgotten about to tell you why these 3 zeros are used, because we always try to implement it whatever be your order of the divisor data bit. It is 4-bit, so you must add this value 4 minus 1, always that number of bit to the last at the end point of your data byte. If your data byte is 100100, then how many bits will be added over here? It depends on the number of these bits. Okay, so if this if the divisor is your 4-bit value, here you must put n minus 1 if it is n number of bits. So this will be n minus 1 bit always. So it is 4-bit value, that's why 3 zeros is 3 zeros are added over here. Okay, because we don't know what will be the actual bit we need to send, because we need to send this full bits. This is your actual data and this is your parity bit, but what will be the value of that parity bit? We don't know until we perform this operation. That's why initially you have to assume always 0. But how many zeros will be there? It depends on the number of bits in the divisor part. Okay, so whatever, if n bit is there, so this value must be n minus 1. Now when you have completed your operation, the last remainder is 001. So actual bit that must be that must be given by the sender to the receiver is, that will be 100100001. Okay, this will be your actual message which will be sent by the sender. This will be 001. Okay, so why you have not calculated, you have not considered this zero also? Because your parity bit is only 3 bit, so you have to consider it from the LSB position, and you have to consider that 3 LSB bit. If it is 3 bits, then these 3 bits will be over here. So that is the actual bit which will be added as your parity bit and sent by the sender. Clear? Now when the receiver receives this data with by the help of this CRC checker, it actually so when that particular data is sent by the sender and receiver receives this, so there is a CRC checker which checks whether there is an error or not. So how that checker can be used to check this process, can check this data using the same concept. So your data byte is now this one, which is received. Your divisor is 1101. So start, the first one is over here, so you need to start the operation from this position. So write in the same number 1101. Okay, perform the XOR operation 1100000111110. So discard this 0, first one is over here, and you have to consider 100 by putting down this 0 here. Then the same operation 1101 is written, and again the XOR operation is to be performed 0110000111110. Discard this 0, start it from this position. So in this way, when this last one is over here and you need to perform the same operation, your remainder will be 0. So if the remainder is 0, that means there is no error. The actual data has been sent and it is received by the receiver. But if any data has been changed over here, suppose it is 1000 or 010 or 001 or 100, whatever. So except this 0, if any result is there, that means there must be an error. Okay, and if the remainder result is 0, then that means there is no error. Okay, so here in this process, this CRC process, you don't need to consider the question part. Always you have to consider the remainder part. For both, when it is used by the generator circuit, remainder is the main, and same for the checker circuit, remainder is the main. Okay, so that remainder in generator, it is used to send this data, this parity bit along with this data, and this remainder is used to check whether there is any error or not. If the remainder is 0, there is no error. If anything else except this one, then there is an error. Next is the checksum. So this is the third error detection method. Oh, one thing I need to tell you. Yes, is it visible? Hello.
I can't hear you. Okay, so the divisor may be given in binary form in your exam, like 1101, 11011, or any bit,
or may be given this type of configuration using the polynomial. Suppose it is given that your divisor is x to the power 4 plus x cube plus x plus 1. So how can you find out the divisor using this polynomial? So you have to consider, so here the highest degree is 4. Highest degree is 4. So you need to append 4 bits at the end of your data, actual data bit. 4 bits must be there, because whatever be your highest degree of your polynomial, that will be equal to the number of bits which will be added at the end of your data byte, which is used as your parity bit. Okay, now from this polynomial, how can you find out the binary number? So x to the power 4, you have to consider the coefficient of each one. So x to the power 4 coefficient is 1, x cube coefficient is 1, there is no x square, so that's why coefficient is 0. There is x coefficient is 1, and this constant, that is 1. So take the coefficients only, that is 1 1 0 1 1, that will be your divisor. In the same way, maybe dividend may be given in terms of polynomial. So using this type of technique, you can easily find out what will be the binary value of your polynomial. Is it clear? Any confusion? Okay, so move on to the next slide. So the third error detection method we need to discuss here is the checksum. Okay, like the parity check and the CRC method, the checksum is also based on the redundancy or the parity bit. So here also the checksum generator is there, and checksum checker. So checksum generator, that is implement at the sender side, and checksum checker implemented over here at the receiver side. Now in the sender, the checksum generator actually subdivides the data unit into equal segments, like n bits. Okay, but generally it is given in 16-bit form. So these segments are added using ones complement arithmetic operation. Okay, so it is performed in such way that the total value of the result must be n bit. So the total sum is then complemented and appended at the end of the original data unit as your redundancy bits. Okay, so first you need to add the data bytes. Suppose 2 data bytes are there, like 0001. Okay, take this example. This one, 2 data bytes, 11001111 and 101101. Okay, so data units are added bit by bit. Then it is complemented, and that complement bit, that is to be added with the added at the end of your data byte. Clear? So that is the checksum bit. Now, or that is also called the checksum field. Now the extended data unit is transmitted across the network. So if the sum of the data segment is suppose it is given as your t, then the checksum will be minus t. Okay, and it receives by the receiver, and then in the same way it checks using the same method. First you need to it needs to added them, then complement. And if the complement result is all zero, all bits are zero, that means there is no error. The actual bits are received by the receiver. But if the complement value is not zero, if any bit is changed as one, then it is said that there may be an error. Okay, so these are the steps which needs to follow by the sender. The unit is first divided into k sections, each of n bits. All sections are added using one's complement to get the sum, and the sum is complemented again to becomes the checksum, and it is sent with the data. And receiver, again it is divided the k sections into n bits, and again it is use the arithmetic sum, then it is complemented. If the result is zero, the data are accepted, otherwise they are rejected. That is the principle. Now these are what I have discussed now. These are all error detection technique. It is not used to correct it. Okay, so for correction, so error correction techniques are different, like block coding technique, like Hamming coding technique. First it detects the error, then it corrects the error. Okay, so both techniques are used for detection and correction purpose. Now the block coding technique. So every channel, whether it is a fiber optic channel or any other types of channel, it has an upper limit based on the rate at which the information or data that can be transmitted through the channel. Now this limitation of capacity of channel is called the channel capacity, and due to channel noise there will be an error. So that error is received by the receiver side, and that error must be corrected by using the block code. So a block code, basically it is a set of words that has well-defined mathematical property structure, and where each word is sequence of fixed number of bits. I will explain it using one example. The words belonging to the block code are called as code words. We always said that code words. Okay, so entire word is called the code words. Now, before going to discuss the block coding technique, there are certain terminology you must familiar with this. Suppose there are k number of information bits. So information bits, it is started from one position, I1, I2, I3 up to k. And as if the parity bits, or it is called the redundant bits, are r. So how many parity bits will be there? Up to r, p1, p2, p3, and all the way up to pr. Now the total bits of the code word code is n, which is equal to the number of information bits plus number of redundant bits. So the total number of bits which will be sent by a sender, that is equal to the number of information bit, actual bit, plus parity bit or the redundant bit. So it is given in this way. The formation will be here. The total number of bits in that code word is like this: I1, I2, I3 up to ik, then parity bits p1, p2, p3 up to pr. And the representation for this block coding technique is n comma k. N is the total number of bits and k is the information bits. So your redundant bits must be n minus k always. So how many parity bit will be required? N minus k. Suppose your information bit is 4 bit and your code word which will be sent by the sender is 5 bit. So your redundant bit or parity bit will be 5 minus 4, 1. Your redundant bit will be or parity bit will be 1. Clear? Now a code word whose information bits are kept together, that is called the systematic code word. Means your bits are represented in this way. First the information bits, all the information bits, then the parity bits. Suppose information bits are 1 0 1 1 0 1 1, then parity bits suppose 1 0 1. So it is represented at 1 0 1 1, then 1 0 1 in this way. So first always information bit will be there, then parity bit, and this code word format is called the systematic code word. And if the information bits are not kept together, then it is called the non-systematic. That means I1 is here, then maybe P1 is there, then I2, I3, then P2, then I4, then P4. So in this way, so it is not in sequential form, and that is called the non-systematic code word. So there are two types of code word. One is systematic, where the information bits are represented first, it is representing first, then the parity bit. And in case of non-systematic, it is given anywhere in the total bits. Information bits may be there, then parity bits are there, then maybe information bits, then parity bit, and then information bits, and at the last time this parity bit. So there is no structured way to represent it. That's why it is called the non-systematic code word. Now the total code words which are required as per n block codes. If your total number of code word is required as 2 to the power n, and total code words required as per the information bits. If k is the number of information, then 2 to the power k will be the total number of code words. And the total redundant code words required as per the parity bits, which is r, that means 2 to the power n minus 2 to the power k. So the code rate which is assigned by this capital R, which is equivalent k by n, and n bits of block code will be k information bits and r redundant bits or parity bits. Okay, now coming to one example. Suppose we have 3 information bits, 3 bit. So this is n, this is k. N means the total number of bits is 4, and k is the information bit. So your parity bit will be 4 minus 3, 1. Okay, so for 3-bit information code, for 3 bit, how many combinations will be there? 8 combinations: 0 0 0, 0 0 1, 0 1 0, 0 1 1, 1 0 0, 1 0 1, 1 0 1 1 0, and 1 1 1. But your parity bit will be 1, so maybe 0, maybe 1. That's why the information bits, you can say this table very carefully, that the first combination, if it is 0 0 0, the parity bit may be 0 or maybe 1. So that's why for every combinations we have considered 2 combinations for the same bit format. 0 0 0 will be true, then 0 0 1, then 0 1 0, then 0 1 1, then 1 0 0, then 1 0 1, 1 1 0, and 1 1 1. And for every combination, the parity bit may be 0, maybe 1, maybe 0, maybe 1. So in this way, it is given. So in that case, so you need to check which code word is true, which code word is basically the actual code word, not the all code word is applicable. Okay, so that's why it is to be checked every time before transmitting. And how can you see this? How can you check it? Check the even number of ones. Okay, so your first, so you need to check the total number of ones in your code word. So here there is no one, so it is even, it is the right combination. Okay, right code word is here. Now the next code word is 0001. How many ones are there? Only 1. That is odd. So this is false code word. Then check the next 0010. How many ones are there? 1. That means odd. So this is again discarded. Then 0011. How many ones are there? 2. That is even number of ones are there. So that means this code word is valid. Okay, then check the next one. So in this way, how many true code words are generated? If you can check it, you can find out it. The number is 8. So 8 code words are real and others are fail to satisfy the condition for even parity checking. Okay, for even parity checking. And for obviously odd parity, just opposite to this one. Okay, so that is called the block coding.